Hello, 0910. We're now adding and subtracting integers, the pinnacle of the most difficult thing in the world to teach. That is my opinion after doing this for 20 years. So what you're about to see is the method that I have used successfully that will teach you how to add and subtract negative numbers, and this is part 1. These two rules are my little sayings on how to introduce how to add and subtract integers. So let me show you several examples here. When I say same signs add, I'm talking about back in the very first days that you learned that 3 plus 6 is 9. The sign in front of 3 is actually an invisible plus sign. We were just taught not to ever write that because it is positive. So these would be the same signs. This is positive, this is positive, this one's positive, and this one's positive. Therefore, you add those two numbers together. So when you see it looking like this, these are also have the same signs. That's negative, and that's negative. So those would have the same signs. When this happens, you add these two numbers together. You just have to basically figure out, do I add these together or do I subtract these numbers? And if the signs are the same, negative here, I would add the number and keep the negative sign. So like another example would be something like negative 6 minus 4. Those signs are the same, negative, negative. So I would add them and keep the negative sign. As far as like relating this to temperatures, would be 6 below 0. And the temperature, if this was my thermometer and it was 6 below 0, let's say that's 0, and it was cold outside like that, all right, and the temperature dropped 4, it would go down to negative 10. Okay, that's what this is saying here. This would also be like if you were in debt $6, you owed someone $6, and then you lost another $4 bet. Well, now you'd be in the hole $10. All right. That's what I mean by the same signs. Don't worry, we'll do a bunch of examples here in a minute. If the signs are different, well, then one is positive and one is negative, like that. Okay? This one is positive. That's plus 3. It's just invisible. We don't write plus 3, but you have to learn to see it. And this is negative. So one's positive and one's negative. If the signs are different, you subtract the two numbers. So 6 minus 3 is 3. And then you keep the sign of the biggest one. The biggest number, you keep that sign. So this would be negative 3. Temperature-wise, this would be like 3 above 0, and the temperature would drop 6 degrees. So it would actually go down past 0 to negative 3 here. It would be a negative temperature. You've learned that you already know this rule. Let me prove it to you. If I have 7 minus 4, what's that answer? 3. What did I just do? You know that 7 minus 4 is 3. You just have to relearn this. This is positive. This is negative. Those signs are different. So you subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. Let's pencil that in there. Keep the sign of the bigger number. Very important. After you subtract, you keep the sign of the bigger number. Over here, you just keep the same signs. All the way across. Look, positive, 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 negative, 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 negative. Make sure that shows up on the movie. Negative, 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 negative. Over here, positive, negative, negative, but I keep the sign of the bigger number. And here, positive, negative, I subtract it. Let's do another one. Let's say we had something like negative 3 plus 9. Are the signs the same or different? You can clearly see that they are different. We would subtract. 9 minus 3 is 6. And we keep the sign in front of the bigger number, which would be positive. One more. Negative 4 plus 7. These would be different signs. I would subtract and get a positive 3 because that 7 is a bigger value. So I would be positive right there. But again, I wouldn't get in the habit of writing plus 3. I think that would be a mistake. Okay, now if you think you know what you're doing, I will get rid of these two things and put a bunch of examples up here. Okay, there we go. Go ahead and pause it and try to fill all that in. All right, pause it now. See how you do. All right, we'll see how you did here. So I'm going to quickly work through this. Signs are, I'm just going to say different subtract or same add each time. So this would be different subtract -4, same add -8, different subtract -1, different subtract -1, same add -9, different subtract 1, different subtract -1, same add -9, different subtract -7. All right, next column. Again, pause it if you need to do the rest. This would be -11, 3. These are different. We subtract -3. Same add 11. Same add -10. Remember, when you add, you keep the sign. Different subtract 6. Different subtract -6, because we're keeping the value of that 8 right there. Different, let's see here. This would be -14. This would be 4 and -4. The signs are different. You subtract. On this column, just, try that again. This column right here, just making sure this shows up on the zoom feature of this thing. So this is going to be 3, -9, -3, 7, kind of running out of time trying to speed this up, -7, -11, -2, 2, and -22. Wow. Let's try that again. -22. All right. You guys have a good one. Practice this. Go back, rewatch this thing. Keep practicing this. It's the most important thing. Have a good one.